On the very first page of Brian Stelter's new book, Network of Lies, the author launches into Fox News' role in promoting the big lie and the network's culpability for the events of January 6th. The coup attempt could not have happened without the help of Fox News, he writes. All of the indictments Donald Trump faced in 2023 related in one way or another to the misguided advice, misinformation, and mendacity of the Fox machine. Stelter writes that now, almost 3 years later, and after a rupture and a rapprochement with Trump, Fox is the Black Widow at the center of the web of lies that perverts American politics. Joining us now is Brian Stelter, author of Network of Lies, the epic saga of Fox News, Donald Trump, and the battle for American democracy, which goes on sale November 14th. I'm thrilled to have my own copy right here, Brian.
I'll sign it for you.
Yes, please do.
Great to be here.
First of all, you know, people say a lot of things about how Fox is poisoning democracy, but you have a sort of granular assessment and deep reporting about how literally Fox is feeding Trump the lies that then in turn lead to the coup attempt. Can you talk about that?
And they knew what they were doing. And that's why these emails and texts are so important and so explosive. Some were published last spring, but I had to write this book because there were so many other messages in this document dump in Wilmington, Delaware that needed to see the light of day.
Just for people to be clear, that is the discovery from the Dominion.
That's right, because Dominion's lawyers were able to get inside and read all of the emails with Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, and read what they were really saying at the time. I've never seen any major media company in the United States exposed the way that Fox was exposed. And we can talk later about the other companies being sued. These cases are still going on. But when it comes to Fox, it is remarkable to see how they seeded the big lie for Trump. You know, the big lie didn't just happen in November of 2020. It was made to happen. Maria Bartiromo went on the air, told a tale about Dominion with the help of Sidney Powell, the Trump-aligned lawyer. And then 4 days later, Trump started saying it. He thanked Sean Hannity on his Twitter for telling him all about Dominion. So it was Fox that seeded the story that gets us down the path toward January 6th.
What stuns me is the degree to which Donald Trump is at once the puppet master and the puppeteer. Sorry, the puppet itself, right?
I get that.
When he seems to have exhausted his utility, for Fox News after January 6th, there's this brief moment where they're like, oh, forget that guy, never mind, and including Sean Hannity.
Yes, his greatest ally.
Yes, Sean Hannity, who was the sort of shadow chief of staff in the White House. Right, you have reporting. Sean Hannity, after January 6th, Suzanne Scott, Fox's CEO, tells Rupert Murdoch that Hannity wants to help lead the $75 million forward away from Trump.
It's one of my favorite quotes from the book, because the $75 million refers to Trump's voters in 2020. And here's Sean Hannity saying, I'm ready to take them in a better direction, a more reality-based, more truthful direction. And not only is he saying it, the boss is saying it to Rupert Murdoch. The entire network is behind this plan to move away from Trump. Trump's not wrong. There really was a conspiracy against him inside Fox. But somehow, between 2021 and now, that's totally broken down. And Trump has regained power within the right-wing media.
Can we talk a little bit about the network's current relationship with Fox, with Trump, as you see it? I mean, he's obviously he's the prohibitive front runner in the presidential race. He's as strong as he has been among the Republican electorate. Does Fox, I mean, is all forgiven? And to what degree do you feel like Fox feels like it needs to actively curry favor with Trump? I ask that not just because that's interesting in and of itself, but because, you know, there's going to be a January 6, 2025.
Yes, and there is an effort to curry favor with Trump. We saw that with the Bedminster meeting you mentioned, going out to Bedminster, asking him to do the debate. Fox gave up on that eventually, but there was definitely an attempt to resume the relationship. You know, there's another quote in the book that hasn't been published before. Rupert Murdoch saying, I had Trump on the phone in 2020, and Trump says to me, you're 90% good at Fox, but I need you to be 100% good. And Rupert says, you can't have that. Of course, that's very self-aggrandizing for Rupert, right? Blowing off the president of the United States, saying you can't have 100%. But the reality is Fox is 100% in Trump's corner. And if it's not now, it will be by the general election. That's the reality, not just for Rupert, but his son Lachlan, who officially takes control next week.
Do you feel like there's any, I mean, it's just staggering that there's no semblance of contrition on the part of Fox in terms of what it has done here. In fact, if anything, it's a doubling down on helping spread the misinformation, the lies, and really being guilty of mendacity.
I sometimes feel like the country's facing memory loss, suffering memory loss, or at least some folks, some subset of the country has forgotten what the years 2017 through 2020 were actually like, that maybe it was too traumatic to be willing to remember. We've buried some of those experiences because when you look at these polls that show Trump ahead of Biden with more leadership skills, with greater mental acuity, you just think, have we all forgotten about 2017 and 2018?
Well, in part,
and some people have, because it's convenient for those Fox stars to pretend that those scandals never happened.
Can we talk? But the scandal, I mean, you made the point at the outset of our discussion here that the lawsuits are not over for Fox. I mean,
far from it.
We got a huge tranche of information from the Dominion lawsuit, but there would have been more if the case had gone to trial. There is a Smartmatic lawsuit, another voting system, that was filed before the Dominion lawsuit and is for an even bigger dollar amount, I believe $2.7 billion. Are we going to get a sort of X-ray into Fox News in the course of the Smartmatic lawsuit?
That case is taking longer, but the outcome may be the same. There are more depositions happening. There will be more discovery. There will be more documents published. Maybe there will be a settlement. I would bank on a settlement, but maybe for more than $800 million that Dominion was able to obtain. Smartmatic's lawyer told me, look, the company is a bigger company. It suffered bigger damages. Fox disagrees. They say the damages number, $2.7 billion, is way inflated, but that fight's going to happen. The point here is that the courts are where big lie accountability is happening. Yeah. The Trump trials you cover every day, at the same time those are happening, we're having this parallel civil litigation against Fox, Newsmax, Mike Lindell, Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani. You know, I was interviewing the Dominion lawyers again this week. They are so busy with all these other cases, you'd think they'd be off vacationing on a beach somewhere after making $800 million for their client. No, they have a lot of other cases still pending, but they're in Washington. And you know why it's taking so long? There's so many January 6 cases still in the Washington courts. There are so many rioters still being held accountable.
The handiwork of Fox News. Is it going to change under Lachlan Murdoch, or your expectation is that profit still reigns supreme?
Profit reigns supreme more than ever, because in some ways, some parts of that business are shrinking. It's a harder business to own than it was 10 years ago. They're under more pressure than they were when Rupert was on top.
Oh, Brian, it's a distressing read, but it is an essential read. Thank you, my friend.
It actually ends on a hopeful note.
Yeah,
many of us are in on it now.
Yeah,
Thanks to these emails, people know the truth. I think actually that's a hopeful note.
Yes, and it actually there's great utility in having exhausting reporting on those emails in one place in such lyrical.
Some people are still capable of shame, actually.
Some, not all of them, but some of them. Brian Stelter, thank you, my friend.